Hello and welcome to this week's edition of WCS GameDay. I'm your co-host, Jimmy Qualls, and with me as always, my co-host, Tate Mathews. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about last week's games, this week's games, and what's going on in the sports world of WCS Sports Conference. Man, we had some great games last week, but before we get to that, let's talk about the state TWSAA State Golf Tournament. The Brentwood High School boys came in as state runners-up, and the girls came in 7th. What do you know about that?
Highest finish ever for the Brentwood Bruins. That's a great accomplishment by those boys. I know they came up a little bit short, but again, second best team in the state. We'll take it. Big step towards the Director Cup point total for the Bruins there. Those will come in handy later on in the year.
That's right. If you look at it from this standpoint right now, Brentwood's actually winning in the Director Cup points. So we'll talk more about that later. But the thing about it is, they came from 10 strokes back. They were in 5th to 6th place after day one. The four guys had not played very good, and then the storm happened. They started storming back. Farragut was kind of faltering a little bit, coming back to the field. Brentwood stormed through, came up 3 strokes short. They came in at 6 over total. Farragut came in at 3 over total to be state runners-up. That's, like you said, the highest they've ever finished. Congratulations to that team of Nolan Ray, Cameron Smith, Trevor Johnson, and Will Howard. Cameron Smith, coming in at 4 under, ties it up at 18. Comes in, Farragut makes a bogey, he makes par, ties it up. They have a one-hole playoff to decide the low medalist state champion of the year, and the Farragut kid happens to birdie the hole, and he pars the hole, which is he's doing his job. He pars the hole. If you get beat on birdie, you get beat on birdie. But congratulations to those guys. The Brentwood girls also represented as a team at the state tournament, came in 7th with Annie Paris, Sarah Klein, and Jade Sales. Congratulations to those Lady Bruins as well, earning cup points, as you said,
That's right.
for Brentwood. Also there, Indy had a girl representative. Haley Smith finished 7th, tied for 7th at 7 over. Alex Campbell on the boys' side from Ravenwood finished at 9 over, tied for 33rd. Ann Catherine Blackburn from Ravenwood finished 31st for the girls. Mason Felkins had a really good tournament. 2 over for Franklin, finished tied for 22nd. Anna Horn, 42nd from Summit. And Centennial had Mackenzie McGrath finish 40th. So we had a large contingent of boys and girls represented there in the TWSAA State Tournament. Moving on, volleyball. We talk about this every single week. Barbara Campbell and the Machine at Brentwood. Once again, district tournament fixing to start, going into regionals, going into state. Brentwood could have a clear big lead on the Director's Cup points. At this time, Brentwood 51-1. 51 straight wins.
It's amazing.
They're now ranked 10th in the country according to Max Preps. The 11 AAA tournament starts this week on Wednesday, October the 8th at Ravenwood. It goes Wednesday, Thursday. What do you think? Who do you think the clear-cut favorite is for that tournament?
Got to be them. They just keep winning. They keep winning convincingly. Their one loss, remember, was to Siegel. I believe it was the first game of the year, if not the first series of the year. We saw what happened when they got back together again last week. The Bruins just dominate them. So remember the war cry or the rally cry, 1 for the thumb. She's got 9 state championships. They have 9 state championships, looking for 10. I would say this is about as heavy of a favorite as you're going to see.
Well, Ravenwood would like to have something to say about that, as well as Centennial, who's been playing really well this year. Siegel also ranked in those top rankings from Max Preps nationally. So if we see a collision, of course, of those two guys in the state tournament, that would be a nice rematch because Siegel has 1 win. Brentwood has actually 2 wins because they played in a tournament, but
right.
1 regular season win there. It'd be interesting to see how that goes. The schedule is as follows. Wednesday, October the 8th at 4:30, Centennial versus Indy. 6 o'clock, Ravenwood versus Dixon. 7:30, Franklin versus Summit. That is on October the 8th. That's the first day. And the host school will be at Ravenwood. So it'll be interesting to see how those goes. Lastly, we're going to talk about the Middle School Association. I hate to leave those guys out. They are the future of the WCS Sports Conference. Congratulations to Brentwood Middle for winning the golf tournament there. And for tennis, Heritage girls win the tennis, and the Page boys won the tennis tournaments there. So congratulations to those teams. Moving on, week 6, man. We had the big epic showdown. But we're going to start first with Brentwood, which was the WCTV game of the week. Brentwood coming in at 1-6, 1-2 in the district versus Franklin, 5-1. 2-0 in the district. We knew that we had an uphill battle for Brentwood. Critchlow been playing lights out, quarterback ranking through the roof. He had a great game. We'll talk a little bit more about his stats after you watch this play of the game from Jonathan Critchlow, touchdown pass to Carson Young.
Second and 5 after the run, Milan. Across the middle,
Oh,
Young.
man, look at Carson Young. Carson Young runs a beautiful route, comes free, right at the end, makes a beautiful catch, walks right in the end zone. Nice job by Carson Young. Great protection up front by that offensive line. Kind of broke down towards the end. Critchlow does a good job stepping up.
31-yard touchdown pass, Critchlow to Young. Here.
Great job blocking by that offensive line, and you see Carson Young just runs a beautiful route, does not give the defender any opportunity to stay with him. Good job catching that, putting 6 on the board, 35-6 now. 6:45 remaining.
Once again, as you see Critchlow making that pass, an efficient pass to Carson Young, he's been doing this all year.
All year long, he only had 5 incompletions in the game, so you knew this was going to probably be a completion. Thing about it, if you see, man, it just goes to show his arm strength. He threw that off his right foot. He was off balance, hit him right in stride. He has a great, great arm. Heck of a play, and that was indicative of what he did pretty much all night long.
Listen to these stats. On the year, Joe Critchlow, 20 or 25 for the game the other night, 266 yards, 3 touchdowns. For the year, he is now 89 of 125, 1,090 yards, 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. If we were playing the WCS Fantasy League, he would absolutely be wearing it out right now.
First round draft pick. The most impressive thing about that whole thing, completions to 10 different receivers. Obviously, his number one target, Garrison Mathews, has been all week, all year, 5 catches, 91 yards, 1 touchdown, but 10 different receivers. That's spreading the ball around. That's building depth. That's efficiency, 42-6 win. We talked about it. Brentwood, Franklin, doesn't matter the records. Anytime you get a win, you're very happy. A win like that, Coach Webb was very happy. 80% completion rate for Critchlow. That's unheard of.
Critchlow's quarterback ranking is as high as his ACT score right now. So, I mean, he is just absolutely playing lights out for him. I look forward to the games ahead to see how this clash, as it comes, as the epic clashes are coming, the heart of the district schedule, and see how Critchlow continues to perform, and the Rebellion keeps on running. Right now, the Rebellion is like I said earlier, they're sitting at 5-1, 2-0 in the district. Kind of got off to a slow start. That's kind of been their motive this year is starting off slow, getting a touchdown, maybe starting the end of the first quarter 7-14 nothing at most, but then piling on the points either right before half or right after half, going into the second half. They went into at halftime at 14 nothing, end up 21 nothing, and end up the game 42-6.
Here's the impressive thing. We keep talking about the offense, which we should. Very explosive. They held them to 19 total yards in the first half. Now, you saw what they did against Hendersonville. You saw what they did against Blackman. You saw what they did against Oklahoma. Brentwood can score some points. They can put up some offensive yards. Their problem's been on defense some of the time. They held them to 19 total yards in the first half. As impressive as that offensive performance was, the defensive one was just as impressive, maybe a little bit more.
And we'll talk about another team later that's the same way. We talk about offense, glitz, glamour, stars everywhere. We're going to throw the ball, we're going to run. But those defenses are fixing to clash up. So is that going to result in a low-scoring game later? I don't know. We'll talk about it. But it's very interesting to note that the doctor of defense continues to dial up the defense. That's once again Franklin at Brentwood. 42-6. Franklin continues their winning streak and takes their record to 5-1, 2-0 in the district. Indy had the bye last week. They're coming off that tough loss at Blackman, getting rested up. Have a big game this week coming up with Centennial. We'll talk more about that later down the road. Fairview, our Division II teams in the WCS, Fairview and Page both had huge wins for those guys. Fairview hosting Lewis County. Lewis County coming in at 3-2 on the year, 1-2 in the district. Fairview sitting at 500, needing a big win, coming off some injuries, now getting better, getting healthy, going into the meat of their schedule. Homecoming, 31-28.
Homecoming win, great win against Lewis County. If you know the tradition of Fairview and Lewis County, you know anytime you get a win over them, that's a big win. Other thing, you know, these alternate jerseys have kind of become a big thing, Coach. I like them. I used to The traditionalists, I mean, used to not like them. I like them. I think it's awesome. Here's the deal on that. Fairview busted out some gray uniforms on Friday night. The good about that is when you win, it's even more exciting. When you lose, sometimes, oh, man, maybe we shouldn't have busted those out. Gray jerseys, homecoming win over Lewis County, 31-28. Big win for the Yellow Jackets and Coach Hughes. As we said all year long, as Hunter Zimmerman goes, the Yellow Jackets offense goes, he played very well on Friday night. They got the win.
Well, I actually got to spend some homecoming time out there. I felt like I needed to be like Rudy Kalis. I think we need to invest in a helicopter because I hit 4 different schools that day. Finished up at Fairview, got to see their homecoming parade, got to go see them going into the pep rally. They all had their gray jerseys on. Dr. Oyer was loving it. They were loving it. The atmosphere was high for those guys. I feel great for those guys because, like you said, as Hunter Zimmerman goes, they got off to a win. And Lewis County is not an easy team to beat, ever, regardless if they're up or down, wherever they are. But, they hold them off. Hunter Zimmerman went 11 of 14 for 128 yards and a touchdown.
Very efficient. Didn't turn the ball over. And put some points on the board, and like we said, that was what he had to do for them to beat Lewis County. You're not going to hold Lewis County to 7 points. You're going to have to score some points. They did that. Again, big win. Now they go into their open week, got a chance to get even more healthy. We've been talking about it. Come playoff time, I don't think I'd want to see the Yellow Jackets early in the playoffs.
Hunter Caldwell rushed for 24 times for 150 yards, also had a good game. So they had a really good balanced attack. I think I agree with you. Yellow Jackets are going to be stinging come late in the playoffs. So, once again, Fairview moves to 4-3, 3-3 in the district, 31-28. Big win over homecoming win over Lewis County. Another Division II WCS team, Page. Page had probably one of the most quality wins for those guys, and especially the Division II ranks this year. Goes to Giles County and gets a huge win, second overtime win in 2 weeks, back-to-back wins. They go in and get a 1-point win over at Forest in overtime. They come down to Giles County, get into overtime, and win and go for 2 and win 31-30 in overtime.
Huge win there at the Brickyard. If you've never been there, that's a that's a cool place to play. They've got one of the best high school stadiums around, and it's a tough place to play. Here's the thing, Coach. I know you're big on notes, and we talked about last week, if you look at our notes, what did Page have to do to beat Giles County, which you're right, this is one of the biggest wins they've had in years. They had to rush the ball. Our boy Michael Roberts, 22 attempts, 204 yards. You know how many net loss yards he had? 0. 204 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. That's what they had to do, and they did it, and that is as good of a win the Fighting Patriots have had in a long time. It's definitely the biggest win they've had under Coach Rathbone.
Well, I know you're a big fan of Michael Magochi. We talk about him week in and week out, too, being an efficient quarterback. 14 of 19. Did have an interception, but finished out with 133 yards, 1 touchdown. The Pats went down there. Coach Bone, I know, is happy to go in. Anytime you go into Giles County, Giles County's got an Ole Miss commit. Solid, always very athletic down there in Pulaski. Like you said, the Brickyard gives them a little bit of a favorite to go into and a hard place, hostile environment to win in. Down there right below, it's funny because how they use this, right below the graveyard, right down there at the Brickyard. And Giles County comes up 1 point short. They go for it. They roll the dice. Coach Bone rolls the dice, gets the big win, 31-30 in overtime. They've won 2 games in 2 weeks by a combined total of 2 points.
Hey, here's the neat thing, too. They've got 2 losses now. One to CPA, who might be the best team in the state in 3A, and Marshall County, who we've been talking about them all week.
Could be possibly be the number 2 team.
That's right. That's right. So, hey, you got to be really happy with the record the Fighting Patriots have right now.
Old Sparty versus Dixon. Man, we come up just a hair short. Old Sparty fought tough, played well, coming in at 0-6, 0-3 in the district. Dixon 1-5 coming in, 1-2 in the district standings. Got beat 14-7.
So close. We say it every week. They're just so close. They're going in first half. They score a touchdown. Looks like it's going to be the first points of the game. Offensive penalty, calls it back. Next play, interception, 100 yards. Now they're down 7-0. What we talk about every week, they cannot play catch-up. They're just too young right now. If you look at the Stewart's Creek game, you look at the Dixon County game, again, they were right there, a couple of 100-yard interception returns for touchdowns. We might be talking about Old Sparty with 2 wins. They're so close. Coach Coleman's doing the right stuff. It's just it's a process.
And they have to hang in there, and they have to believe in the system. At this point in time, you're at a crossroads with the coach, new coaches coming in, and you got a young team, and it's hard to keep them motivated. But I'm going to tell you right now, the school spirit is at an all-time high.
It is.
They had a fantastic homecoming week. Their student body section was great. They were loud. They were animated the whole time. Sparty Nation's not going to die easily, so they need to hang in there. The W's are coming. Once again, Summit losing 14-7 in a close one to Dixon. When we come back from this break, we're going to talk about the epic showdown. Then we're going to talk about next week's game, and we're going to have pick'em time. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Sophia, and this is my book, Black Beauty. I chose this book because I really like the illustrations, and my favorite part is when Black Beauty finds a new owner and he gets hurt, but the owner takes good care of him. And you could find this book at school or at a store.
Welcome back to WCS Game Day. I'm your co-host, Jeremy Qualls, and with me as always is co-host Tate Mathews. We're back. Let's talk about the epic showdown this week, man. The environment was at an all-time high. The atmosphere was great. Both student bodies had fantastic things going on all week leading up to the Centennial Ravenwood Epic Showdown.
Huge game, 2 undefeateds. Ravenwood Raptors, golly, 24-0 victory. It was at home, and they got after them in pretty much every form, fashion of the game. The Raptors came to play, hard hitting, 24-0. Coach, 108 total yards for the Centennial Cougars on offense. That's how well that Raptor defense played. Remember, they got Deion Sanders back there at running back, Manuel Hall out there on the wing. I mean, at wide receiver, 108 total yards, 4 total first downs for the Raptors. That's as good of a defensive performance as you could ask for.
Well, I got there, and you couldn't find a place to park. The crowd was busting at the seams, ready to go, ready to rock and roll. It kind of started raining at halftime. It may or may not affect a little bit of the second half of the game. But first half of the game, we had some interceptions back and forth, had a few turnovers early. I knew the emotions would be going high, adrenaline flowing. But we tend to look over the Ravenwood defense. We know that they have hard-hitting kids. You know, the starting line has done a good job of containing the run. But I'm telling you, their corners right now, led by Austin Percy, are very underrated.
Yeah, and they're playing great defense. They're playing very physical defense. You got Jeb Stewart and you've got the Geronimus youngster. This is something I thought was very neat, Coach. Their 2 biggest games so far this year: Independence 21-7 victory, Centennial 24-0 victory. Both games they've had a blocked punt recovered for a touchdown. Special teams, big part of that too.
Are we underselling them?
I don't
Are we
think so.
underselling them? Are they going under the radar?
No,
Because
I
we talk
think
about
everybody
them every
knows
week.
about them now.
We love them. We like to see them play. But think about that. We've got a 4 horseman attack right now. We've been talking about the 4 horsemen, hashtag 4 horsemen on Tate Mathews, by the way. We've been talking about the 4 horsemen all the way. I'm not so sure it's a 4-horse race.
Might be the 2.
I think it's going to come down to 2. But that's not any indication on Independence, because Independence is a great football team. Centennial, great football team. Franklin is a great football team. And it's going to be an epic showdown if they can run the table all the way up into the Ravenwood to see who's going to fight it out for number 1. But they are treating these teams like they're not even on the field.
They're getting after them. Here's the other thing, too. Their rushing attack. It's a spread. You got Austin Percy out on one side. You've got Van Jefferson on the other. Seth Rowland, the Rowland brothers combined, but this was Seth Rowland's night. Big brother told little brother, hey, this is my night tonight. 145 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, had a long of 40 yards. Again, Seth Rowland rushed for more yards by himself than Centennial had in total offense.
Well, if you remember me telling you, they have that 2-headed monster right now. And you've got Austin Percy on one side. You've got Van Jefferson on the other. Now the glitz, the glamour, the flash bulbs are going off on one side of the field. And while that's happening, defenses start to shift. and Austin Percy opens up. And I told you that, and I predicted that Austin Percy was going to have a big game. He went 6 catches for 122 yards. Van Jefferson had a good game, 3 catches, but still got 81 yards. They had a total of 9 catches, 203 yards. Cole Brown, efficient game, did end up with 2 interceptions there. They threw the long ball early. It kind of floated, got away from him, picked it off. But at the same time, he had 10 carries for 54 yards. So Cole Brown can pick you apart either way. We talk about that Ravenwood offense. We talk about the glitz and glamour, but Ravenwood has only allowed 41 points all season.
It's amazing.
With 2 shutouts, being against an undefeated team and Laverne. Centennial and Laverne, they've shut out both and held Independence to 7 points.
Well, and remember, this is also, they held Independence to 7 points, who put up 40 against the number 1 team in the state, Blackman. So they played some really good offenses.
Well, technically, to get you correct, they're the number 2 team, and I'm going to talk about that. The Max Preps has the new Max Preps rankings came out this week. They have Maryville at 1, Blackman at 2, and Ravenwood jumped Overton to take 3rd place in the 6A Max Preps listings. You know what? Hashtag G2 Bar. It's a great day to be a Ravenwood Raptor. Matter of fact, Hester was at the Grove this weekend in picture form on game day down there. So Ravenwood's hit the map.
Yep, without a doubt. Good weekend for them, but now they've got to move on, get ready for the rest of them, get ready for the playoffs.
Well, let's talk about Week 7 coming up. We know that Brentwood's having a bye. They're taking their week off going into Week 7. Centennial is the WCS Game of the Week, and rightfully so. This is going to be a good one. This is kind of that second-tier guys trying to get their way up in there, hoping that they get some help down the road to get a chance to get into. I feel like right now our 4 horsemen of conference is like the SEC West right now. I mean, it's just loaded with talent. And Centennial 6-1, 2-1 going to Indy, who is 4-2, 1-1. Indy coming off the bye. What do you think?
I think that Independence, their open date couldn't have come at a better time. So remember, this is a short week. They play Thursday night. So Centennial's only going to have 4 days to get ready if you count Sunday. So Independence had the open week last week. They were able to work on Centennial. I'm sure Coach Blade and the guys were at that game. So quick turnaround for Centennial. But you know what? On the other side, this might be a good thing. Centennial's got a bad taste in their mouth right now. They have no choice but to get over and get ready for Andrew Bunch, Nate Johnson, and the boys. I think this one will be a lot of points.
Well, I agree with you. I think Centennial's kind of at a crossroads right now. How are they going to handle this mentally? I know that Coach Rector is going to be in there, and they're going to go hard this week. It is a short week to get ready for that. But, you know, if Centennial comes in and doesn't play well, Independence will put a hurting on them, and that could impact the remainder of Centennial's schedule. On the other hand, they could come in with a sour taste in their mouth, like you mentioned, and play Independence. I think, like you said, it will be a high-scoring game. I think this is a very important game right here. This is one of the better games of the year that we're going to see, and it'll be interesting to see who wins this game. Moving on, Old Sparty at Franklin. Old Sparty coming in 0-7, 0-3, coming into a rolling rebellion right now. Man, Franklin's at 5-1, 2-0 in the undefeated in the district. 14-7 loss at Dixon. What do you think?
It's definitely not a good matchup for Summit. The things that Franklin does well are kind of Achilles heel for Summit. So, again, Summit's got to work on Summit and just get better each week.
They do. I'm going to tell you what. Doctor Defense, you better look out. The wing tee's coming. Old Sparty's coming into Franklin.
He hasn't seen the wing tee.
He hasn't seen the wing tee all year. Once again, they're going to attempt that ball control. I'm going to predict this. I'm going to predict a low-scoring first quarter. Maybe another low-scoring second quarter, but sooner or later the dam will break. The points will start flowing. It's just according to which way. If Old Sparty can hang on that ball, keep some ball control, they may keep this thing competitive.
Stand on the sideline with a stopwatch and don't snap that ball until it hits 1.
That will be, once again, Summit 0-7 at Franklin 5-1. Next game will be Ravenwood 6-0 traveling to Dixon County on Friday night. Dixon 2-5, 1-2 in the district. I just think that G2 Bar will keep rolling down at Dixon. What do you think?
Raptors are playing very well. He's got good senior leadership. I don't see any letdown. I think they'll get after him.
Once again, we mentioned the first 2 games. Centennial and Independence will be on Thursday night due to fall break. Summit at Franklin also on Thursday night. Ravenwood having to go to Dixon on Friday. Now, I don't know if that's an advantage or a disadvantage. I know as a coach going in, you hate to have anything different in your daily routines. I'm sure he'll bring those guys in because we will be, Williamson County will be on fall break on Friday. I'm sure he'll bring them in on a Friday morning and try to keep as normal schedule as possible going into Dixon. I just think that Ravenwood's got too much there over Dixon. That is Friday night. Fairview, the Jackets needed a much-needed bye coming up this week. They're sitting at 500, looking to get 500 in the district, 1-3 in their district. They have the bye. Page 3-2, 0-2 in the district. Once again, we talked about that being the toughest game stretch they had. Going to Fayetteville, who is 2-4, 1-3 in their district. That's also going to be a Friday night game. Fayetteville coming in with 4 straight losses, 42-12 to Eagleville. What do you know about Fayetteville?
Fayetteville's very athletic. They split off from Lincoln County. They kind of have the skill kids. This is something neat about this. Alvin Palmer, the Rebel Nation, remembers him. He's the head coach of Fayetteville. Coach Rathbone was the offense coordinator for him at Page. So they're getting back together. I think Page, again, that Giles County win goes to show. I think Page is a better football team than Fayetteville. I think they'll take care of business.
I think so, too. I think they'll catapult off this win coming in from Giles County going down. Now, it's not an easy, quick trip to Fayetteville. It's a pretty good trip down there. But Fayetteville being relatively a new high school, right. New scenario, new situation. I believe the Page plays in a tougher district, had better quality opponents than they've played. I think that Page also goes down there.
And they're playing well right now.
And Fayetteville having 4 straight losses. I think we're going to have their 5th straight loss there. Once again, Thursday night roundup. Thursday night the 9th coming in. Centennial, Indy, Franklin Summit. Those games will be on Thursday night. The Friday night games on the 10th will be Ravenwood at Dixon, Page at Fayetteville. It's time, folks. It's time for the prediction time. Here they come right now.
Wait a second. What were the results last week?
That's okay.
Okay,
that's okay. You went 5-0 last week. You did not get beat. I went 4-1. But overall standings at 17-8 for me, 22-3. You better look out. You better pick wisely this week. Pick wisely. It is our favorite time. It is the WCS GameDay prediction time. Centennial versus Indy. What do you have? This is going to be a tough one.
Cougars bounce back, short week, Centennial.
Woo! Tate goes with Centennial. I'm telling you right now, Indy's too good. They're putting too many points on the board. Coach Rector's kind of at a crossroads right now with Centennial. Indy Nation rolls. The Eagles roll right there. Summit at Franklin.
Dr. Defense and the Rebellion.
Upset alert.
Old Sparty.
Old Sparty's coming through right here. Upset alert at Franklin. Old Sparty goes through there. Ravenwood at Dixon.
Ravenwood, not even close.
G2 bar, too much to handle. Ravenwood goes down to Dixon, gives them a big loss. Ravenwood. Last but not least, the Pats at Fayetteville. Page goes to Fayetteville. Who you have?
I'm going with Page and a big night by our boy Michael Magochi.
Michael Magochi. You are a Magochi fan. Well, I agree with you, Page. The Patriots go down to Fayetteville, take care of business, hand them their 5th straight loss on their way to victory. Well, I'm your co-host, Jimmy Qualls, and with me, as always, my co-host, Tate Mathews. I hope I can take the lead next week. Doesn't look like I'm going to catch him anytime soon, but thank you for joining us today. And as always, be nice, Williamson. Have a good day.
If we want to keep the blue in the sky, the green in the trees, we better care for the air we breathe. That it would truly be a breath of fresh air when we all can see forever through the air we breathe. So let's really try to be more aware of what we can do to clean up the air we all share. So let's you and me roll up our sleeves, let's do all we can and care for the air we breathe.